Every business leader knows that revenue alone doesn't guarantee stability. Ray Dalio, in his analysis of how economies work, points out that credit, the ability to spend money you haven't yet earned, can fuel growth, but also introduces risk. When a company borrows or extends payment terms, it can accelerate its operations and invest in new opportunities. But this same mechanism can expose you to cash shortfalls if not managed carefully. Understanding how cash actually moves through your business and how decisions around credit and payments shape your available resources is essential for building lasting financial strength. Today, we'll break down practical strategies Fortune 500 companies use to control cash flow without sacrificing relationships or quality. Before we get into these tools, let's look at why some seemingly successful businesses still run into cash problems. If you're new here, please subscribe and like, because I share tips to help you improve your career. The cash flow paradox is a challenge that even well-managed businesses encounter. On the surface, a company can appear profitable, its income statements show strong earnings, but the reality in the bank account can be far less reassuring. This disconnect arises from the difference between accounting profit and actual cash availability. The root of the problem often lies in the mechanics of accrual accounting, which recognizes revenue when it's earned, not when the cash is received. For example, a consulting firm might record a large project as revenue in December, but if the client pays in February, the business must still cover rent and payroll in the meantime. As Ray Dalio notes, credit pulls spending forward, which means companies can accelerate growth by using credit, but this also introduces risk if cash isn't managed carefully. A key early warning sign of the cash flow paradox is when the days sales outstanding, how long it takes to collect payment from customers, begins to climb. If customers are taking longer to pay, your business may report strong profits while actually struggling to meet its own obligations. Another signal is when inventory levels fluctuate sharply. Businesses that tie up too much cash in inventory, especially if it's slow-moving, can see their cash conversion cycle stretch well beyond industry norms. Dalio's research on credit cycles shows that when companies extend too much credit to customers or overstock inventory, they risk running out of available cash even as reported profits look healthy. These timing mismatches can quietly erode liquidity. For instance, if your business is collecting payments slower than it's paying suppliers, or if inventory sits unsold for too long, cash reserves can shrink despite positive financial statements. Monitoring these operational metrics, such as days sales outstanding and inventory turnover, can reveal cash flow risks before they escalate into serious problems. Understanding how these subtle shifts in operations impact your cash position is crucial. The next step is to look at how even small operational changes, like adjusting payment terms or inventory practices, can have an outsized effect on your cash reserves. If you're finding this helpful, please subscribe and like, because it helps us create content that matters to you. Also, if you want to take your skills further, check out our executive education and executive coaching programs at execbeat.com. One of the most direct ways to influence your cash position is through operational levers like inventory and receivables management. The William Ackman lemonade stand scenario illustrates these mechanics well. Imagine starting with a fixed cash investment for your stand and supplies. Each operational decision, how much to spend on inventory, when to collect from customers, and whether to reinvest profits, directly affects your available cash. If you reinvest all your earnings to expand, you might grow revenue rapidly, but you'll also risk having no buffer for unexpected costs or downturns. This trade-off between growth and liquidity is a constant balancing act for any business. Timing mismatches can quietly erode cash reserves. For example, if customers pay you in 14 days, but you must pay suppliers in 7, you're left to fund that gap from your own resources. If you extend customer credit terms to boost sales, You might see an increase in top-line revenue, but you also create a longer period before cash comes in, potentially straining your ability to cover immediate expenses. Ackman's lemonade stand shows that even a profitable operation can run into trouble if cash inflows and outflows aren't closely aligned. Volume decisions introduce another layer of complexity. Carrying more inventory may protect against stockouts and lost sales, but it ties up cash that could be used elsewhere. Conversely, running lean on inventory might free up cash, but risks disappointing customers. The systemic nature of these choices becomes clear when you consider that slow-paying customers can force you to delay payments to suppliers, which might increase your costs or damage valuable relationships. Ray Dalio's example of borrowing to purchase a tractor highlights the difference between productive and consumption debt. Investing in assets that generate future cash flow can be healthy, but only if the timing and returns are managed carefully. A practical framework for evaluating operational changes involves mapping how each decision affects the timing and volume of cash flows, then considering the secondary impacts. For instance, securing early payment discounts from suppliers can sometimes provide better returns than simply holding cash, while adjusting inventory levels might free up working capital for higher priority investments. Leaders who understand these operational levers avoid liquidity traps by making decisions that optimize both short-term cash efficiency and long-term growth. Recognizing these connections is what sets resilient businesses apart. The ability to anticipate how operational choices flow through to your cash position is the foundation of disciplined financial management. When you apply the frameworks discussed, distinguishing accrual versus cash accounting and mapping operational levers, you gain a clearer view of how decisions drive your cash position. This systems approach, as Ray Dalio describes, means understanding the interplay of productivity, short-term debt cycles, and long-term debt cycles within your business. To put this into practice, focus on one concrete action. Track your cash conversion cycle next week using the Ackman lemonade stand model. By measuring how quickly cash moves from outlay to return, you'll see where timing mismatches or operational choices create hidden risks or opportunities. This clarity enables you to shift from reactive cash management to proactive, strategic control, building resilience and supporting long-term growth. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe and like because it helps us bring you more free videos. And if you're ready to grow your career, visit execbeat.com to learn about our executive education and coaching.